Childhoods. Everyone had one, and if you're someone like me, you spent a lot of time at that childhood playing video games and being entrenched in their worlds of wonder and adventure. Now, just so we can get something out of the way quite quickly, at this point in time I am 16 years old. Yes, I know I'm not technically a 90s kid, but I did still play some of the well-known games from the 90s, so I thought I'd let you know before you race down to the comment section and declare my childhood invalid because it didn't take place in the 1990s. But really, everyone's childhood was different, and I didn't play every game that was released around the time of my childhood, so if the game that had the biggest impression on you in your childhood isn't on this list, odds are I haven't played it. Also, let me lay down a couple of other rules. Like I said, only video games that I've played, and only one entry per franchise. But enough rambling, let's get this started. Now, like I previously said, I didn't grow up in the 1990s, so I didn't experience the original Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles cartoon. But now that I'm older, I have seen some of the old episodes, and I can say that the show was very good, and I enjoyed it. But I did grow up with the Ninja Turtles, but I grew up with the 2003 cartoon of the Ninja Turtles. And I have to say that it was one of the reasons I woke up early on Saturday mornings. And of course, each cartoon series has its own video game, and my favourite was the Game Boy Advance version of the Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles. I think the reason I enjoyed this game so much was that you were able to play through the game as each of the Ninja Turtles, and they all have different stories. Also, the game took on a Streets of Rage kind of gameplay, and it was my introduction to the side-scrolling beat-em-up type of games. Also, the game stays very true and faithful to the cartoon. The cartoon did have a dark tone at times, but then there were moments where it would take on a light-hearted tone at times as well, and that is still very apparent in the game, especially when you play through the Raphael story. Coincidence, but the second game on this list is not only another Game Boy Advance game, it's also another licensed game about another cartoon. I mean seriously, it's like a running theme in this list. Just wait, you'll see. Anyway, Dragon Ball Z Supersonic Warriors stood out to me in my childhood because, again, it was another game based on a cartoon series that I loved as a kid. Also, like the Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles, me and my friends loved the cartoon series, and pretty much all of us had this game, and we all loved this game. We would constantly link up our Game Boys and play Link vs. non-stop. It was the best fun we had as kids, except for the #1 spot. But we'll get to that later. Anyway. Also, again, like Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles, it is really faithful to the cartoon. I mean, like, really faithful. And it lets you play through 3 of the main stories of the cartoon, and that was awesome. You can play through the Frieza story on Namek, which is awesome, the story with Cell and the androids, and probably my favourite one, the story with Majin Buu, because who doesn't love Majin Buu? I mean, really, he's just a fat version of Kirby. I mean, I don't know how Kirby could get fatter, but he's a fatter version of Kirby that also kicks ass. So, yeah. Also, another one that stands out is the music. I mean, just listen to it. Yeah, that's what I thought. Also, the game's fighting is really good, mimicking the fast-paced combat and overall all of the cartoon series. Letting you fight each other in teams consisting of 3, and that can consist of 3 of different characters or 3 of the same character. and each character has 3 levels of power they can reach, packing a larger wallop than the other. So I would encourage any fan of Dragon Ball Z to track down this game and pick it up. I mean, I guarantee you will find it on the cheap. It's a Game Boy game. And also, there is a DS sequel to this game, which I've heard really good things about, so I can't wait to check that one out as well. But yeah, this game definitely deserves the number 9 spot. It is a true Dragon Ball Z game. And now finally, we get to the first console game on this list. And might I say, it's a real gem. Spyro the Hero's Tale was the first Spyro game that I played from beginning to end when I was just a wee lad of 7 years old. And might I say, it was a truly amazing experience. Now, when growing up, I was the only one of my friends that actually had a PS2. A lot of them had like Super Nintendos and N64s, and looking back, I am super jealous of those guys. I mean, they had like Ocarina of Time and Mario Kart, and I had like this, and that was about it. But anyway, unlike the other 2 games, we never really talked much about this game, but I still had an extreme amount of fun with this game. I mean, this game introduced me to one of my favourite characters in the entire Spyro series, Sergeant Bird. I mean, come on, he's a military sergeant that is also British and a penguin. I mean, how can you beat that? Short answer, you can't. But anyway, in light of British penguins, this game's art style is also something that connected me quite largely, as it looked really good. I mean, in my opinion, it did. And I think it is still some of the best this series has ever looked. I mean, Dawn of the Dragon also looked pretty damn sweet as well, but I didn't play that game. Also, the voice acting in this game can be pretty good at sometimes. Although, I have to admit, Spyro's voice actor can get a bit annoying at times. Like, really annoying. I'm sorry. Also, the humor in this game is also something that I love. I mean, just take a look at when you first meet Zoe.
Hey there, Spyro. When I zap you with my wand like this, your current position in progress is saved. Also, you lose 1 million brain cells.
Wow, 1 million brain cells? That seems excessively destructive. That seems kind of bad.
Yeah. So to summarize this game, to me, was one of those gems that once I picked it up for a play session, it would be extremely hard to put down. And going back to record footage for this entry, I can say that my feelings haven't really changed a lot. Well, I think this will be the first controversial entry on this list. Not because of what game it is, but where it's placed on the list. Actually, wait, hold on a second. Let me get my flame shield. Alright, I'm ready. Let's do this! Yes, I did play Super Mario World as a child. Yes, I enjoyed it. Was it one of my favourite games as a child? Probably, that's why it's on this list. I mean, I didn't own it as a kid, like I said, I didn't have a Super Nintendo or an N64 growing up, single tier. But one of my friends had a SNES and an N64, lucky twit. So whenever I would go over to their house, we would play this game forever, like non-stop. And you know what? We loved every minute of it. I mean, yeah, we were kids and we were easy to impress back then, but we would still enjoy this game a hell of a lot. And we would always play co-op, and we would always try and see who could get to and then finish the castle first. I mean, I always won, of course. Actually, I might be lying about that. But I did also recently buy this game on the Wii U's Virtual Console, and you know what? This game is still as enjoyable and as fun as I remember it being. The challenge is still there, the power-ups are still awesome, and the people who still makes Mario obese. But my favourite part of this game is how you feel like you are going on a grand adventure, because back when this game was created, the developers were graphically limited, so they had to rely on this game being a good game. And you know what? They made a damn fine game, if I do say so myself, and I would never forget it. And especially when we were kids, this was one heck of an adventure. I mean, we didn't play Legend of Zelda games back then, because we didn't have them, but seriously, this was our version of Legend of Zelda Adventures. But anyway, the amount of fun me and my friend had while playing this game will never be forgotten, and I can now experience the same joy and fun with some of my other friends now in school. So yeah, this game may be number 7, but that doesn't mean I didn't like it. It just means that the other games on this list had a bigger impact. But But you know what? This game is still amazing. Remember when I said that there were Game Boy games on this list that were based off cartoons that were really good licensed games, and that was going to be a running theme in this list? Well, yeah, here we have another one. So yeah, here, once again, handheld game, based on a license, and I mean seriously, this is a running theme in this list. But, I mean, I guess I was lucky that the licensed game I played when I was younger were actually good games, unlike some of today's utter garbage. I'm looking at you, Doctor Who. I love your show, but your games suck. Had to put that out there. But like many kids at my school, I was obsessed with the massive success of a card game called Yu-Gi-Oh! I mean, this thing was everywhere, and it still is. You cannot go to an EB game shop without seeing, like, walls behind the counter of Yu-Gi-Oh! Cards. I mean, it's kind of ridiculous, and the fact that it's still going on to this day is kind of a testament to how popular it still is. I mean, the new ones like Yu-Gi-Oh! Zeal, but spelt like S-Z-E-X-A, I don't know, anyway. But yeah, this game let you take control of the freaking Egyptian god cards when you were further enough into the game. And these cards were sought after in the real life game, and the fact that you could use them in the game, this game, was truly awesome. And also, like Dragon Ball Z Supersonic Warriors, me and my friends would play the crap out of the Link Cable multiplayer. Whether we would be trading cards or dueling with each other, we would always be having tremendous fun with this game. Also, this game had a really cool story where you would have to go and find the Millennium items in order to restore the 3 Egyptian god cards which had been turned to stone. But to say a bit more about the story would be kind of spoiling, but also the final boss is pretty cool, where you have to the Dark Lord Reshef. And I have to admit, this game soon became one of the golden games for my Game Boy Advance, because I was such a fan of the card game, this would be the game that once I put in my Game Boy Advance, would not be coming out for a very long time. I mean, until the entry that is placed at number 1 came along. But we'll get to that later, like I said. Well, now that we are heading into the top 5 of this list, I think it would be appropriate for me to include the first game I ever played. Yes, probably my opinion of the best movie game, tie-in game to ever exist is the Game Boy Color game, Harry Potter and the Philosopher's Stone. The reason I find this game so good is because it was very faithful to the movie it's based on, and also the combat game is very enjoyable. So let me break it down for you all who haven't played this marvelous gem that you should totally go out and buy, because it's a Game Boy Color game, so it's going to be cheap. Although, collectors nowadays... I'm not promoting piracy, but play this game by whatever means necessary. Anyway, the combat is very similar to the early kind of Final Fantasy games in Chrono Trigger. It's, you choose your spell, you cast it, the enemy attacks, and rinse and repeat sort of thing. But the combat is very in-depth, with Harry having a multiple of spells he can use, and each spell is useful against a certain type of enemy. Like, for example, when you get to the end of the game, you fight the Devil's Snare, and it is weak to fire spells, obviously, it's a plant. And there are spells that are fire elemental, like Incendio. It costs a certain amount of SP to use, and with each level up, you will be given an added amount of both SP, spell power, and HP, hit points. And it may be, if you're lucky, even a new spell. Also, there are these cards in the game that you collect. They're the famous Witch and Wizards cards, if you've seen the movie. And they're found around the School of Hogwarts and in Chocolate Frog packs. Also, really cool that they included those. And these cards aren't just for collecting though. They can also be used to complete sets, which can then be used in combat. Also, big plus of this game lets you explore the whole School of Hogwarts, from the greenhouses to the Forbidden Corridor on the 3rd floor. This game lets you explore Hogwarts. Nuff said. So good. And now for the second game on a classic Nintendo console, and I must say, it is one of the damn finest examples of video game exploration of multiple worlds. But before I announce what it is, I might just grab my flame shield once again. Okay, got it? Let's do this. I am sure I probably angered a couple of Nintendo fanboys just then by instead of putting the still amazing Super Mario 64 on this list. But hey, I have my reasons. Though I did play Super Mario 64 when I was younger, I didn't play it as much as I did Banjo-Kazooie. And to be honest, I enjoyed Banjo-Kazooie a lot more. The reason I enjoyed this game a lot more than Mario 64 is at the time, the art style, I guess, appealed more to me. And also, I prefer the characters of Banjo-Kazooie compared to Mario. I mean, hey, I would much rather play as a bear and bird combo than fight a monster that scared me as a kid. Bowser, why are you so creepy? Anyway, the combat is more in depth than Super Mario 64, although Super Mario 64 didn't really focus on combat that much, it was more of a platformer. Anyway, you have multiple moves and combat moves in this game and the way you collect Jiggies, I believe, is more fun than that one infamous one. Yes, Rusty Bucket Bay, I'm bringing up you. And it's hard as hell Jiggy, and really that is my only gripe with this game, Rusty Bucket Bay and its oily water. Anyway, also this is one of the games that me and my friends would play religiously, and you know what? I think this game is still probably my favourite game on the N64, just narrowly beating out GoldenEye, Ocarina, and Majora's Mask. Also, Super Smash Bros. Was close to getting this spot, but I still had to give it to Banjo-Kazooie, because still to this day, I still play it on Xbox Live Arcade as well as Banjo-Tooie. But not nuts and bolts, because that game was, yeah, iffy, shall we say. Yeah. Here we go, let's jump straight into the top 3 games on my list with my second favourite PS2 game of all time. Yes, my favourite out of the 3 Ratchet and Clank games on the PS2, even though Ratchet and Clank 2 Locked and Loaded was the first Ratchet and Clank game I ever played, I still hold up your Arsenal in high regard for one of the standout reasons. This was the game that the most advanced and the best of the 3. I feel that the story is absolutely amazing and the characters were really likeable. Also, I have to admit one thing. When I was a kid, I was truly terrified of fake Clank Clunk, because it was just something about Clank having those glowing red eyes and that creepy laugh that just gives me the heebie-jeebies. Also, this game was full of Easter eggs. Like, if you put in the cheat code Morgan when you were at the Corkvid comics, I believe, you could play a fighter between a space pirate and a robot ninja. Yeah, take that, Street Fighter. Didn't have to pay extra for that, did I? Also, if you have a save game from Ratchet and Clank, the original, you can get a skin of the original Ratchet from Ratchet and Clank 1, and that's also pretty cool. There are numerous other Easter eggs I could go into, like the Insomniac Museum, and seeing Slicks again. And also, lastly, I think I need to give a special shout out to the weapons in this game, because they are without a doubt phenomenal, and probably the best in the series. I haven't played the PS3 games, so I don't know if their weapons are better than this, but I still love these weapons. And I'm going to give a special mention to the Spitting Hydra, the Plasma Whip, the Rift Inducer, the Shock Blaster, the Bouncer, the N60 Storm, and of course, the King of Destruction, the Rhino. This game is without a doubt one of the best games on the PS2, and I haven't even mentioned the hilariousness such as Lawrence and Dr. Nefarious, which I could probably spend a whole video going over that. But I do think I need to mention the extreme awesomeness that is the Corkvid comic games. This was so cool. These were really fun. And you know what? I definitely recommend picking this game up and giving it a playthrough. Hell, if you've got a PS3, pick up the HD Trilogy and you get to play all 3. You can't go wrong there. Also, this game, phenomenal with its multiplayer. Truly, truly awesome. Me and my friend, well, yeah, my only friend with the other PS2, would play this constantly. I mean, constantly. There's just something about games on this list of being really good at multiplayer. Guess that was just something I was into when I was a kid. Anyway, this game, phenomenal. Definitely worthy of the number 3 spot. And number 2, my favourite PS2 game, and probably my favourite game series to this date now. And now, ladies and gentlemen, I present to you the game that would spark my love for this game series and ultimately make it my favourite game series of all time. This game is in my mind the best game on the PS2 and one of the best RPGs in the world. I present to you Kingdom Hearts. Now just before I start talking about the game and how great it is, I have one thing to say. If you own a PS2 or a PS3, go out and buy this game now. You will not regret it. I promise. Guarantee. Just I guarantee. But anyway, now that that is out of the way, I can talk about what makes this my favourite PS2 game of all time. For starters, the story in this game is absolutely phenomenal. It, in fact, borders on one of the best stories in video games in my opinion, albeit a bit confusing in the later games, with Roxas and Ventus looking the same, and Nobodies and Heartless both dying and then becoming a person again, and anyway, I still love it, even though it gets a bit confusing. Anyway, in this game, it is a true masterpiece, and it's a true masterpiece in more ways than one. There is, of course, the story, which I have touched on a bit, and I won't go into it anymore because risk of spoilers. But then there is the music, with memorable tracks like Hikari, which you're listening to now, Night of Fate, and Versus Final Anthem. And you know what? Here's a little Versus Final Anthem for you. There you go. Also, this game combined the worlds of Disney and Final Fantasy together, and on paper that sounds like a massive fail, and many people were deterred from this game because of that. And it's made with Disney characters, and the comment I hear the most is, "It's a Disney game, it's made for kids." And my response is, "The hell you know about Kingdom Hearts, son?" There is a scene in this game that literally freaked me out as a kid. In fact, there are multiple scenes, such as in the tutorial. When Sora's shadow turns into the dark side. I mean, you're 7 years old. Picture this. You're 7 years old. You're playing Kingdom Hearts. You're enjoying it. You're thinking, oh boy, this game is great. I'm on an island. My hair's all poof. And I got this sword. I am awesome. Hey look, there's this light. Hey look. What's my shadow doing? Oh god. Oh god. Yeah. And also, the first time you see the Heartless Dreadnought. I mean, with Ansem all, like, attached to it with his trident thing. I mean, yeah. Anyway. I mean, I very much doubt those were designed with kids in mind. But, I could be wrong. Also, I think I have to mention that some of the designs of the Keyblades in this game are awesome. Such as the Kingdom Key. I know, bit basic, but still, looks cool. Oblivion. Big, black, and awesome. Cut you down, son. The Oathkeeper, which, you know, has a very pretty design to it, even though it's pretty weak Keyblade. And of course, the ultimate weapon. I mean, this thing looks so damn cool! I want one! But, a bit strapped for cash though. Anyway. Also, as a last point, the boss fights in this game are truly awe-inspiring, and some of them make you feel, like, small as an ant. And they are, like, they're big. They are big bosses, like, couple of mention are the Heartless Dreadnought, of course, all the dark sides in the game, the Behemoth, and that gargoyle guy you fight on the mountain, who's a reference to Fantasia, whose name escapes me. I'll probably put it up on screen. And yeah, this game, just, I love this game. I still have my original copy, and Kingdom Hearts 2, and all the other ones, except 3D. But anyway, yeah, I would definitely recommend buying this game, playing it, enjoying it, loving it, and then playing through the rest of the series. This game is amazing. Okay, here we go, the #1 spot on this list, and to be honest, I couldn't choose one game out of this group of fantastic games to put on #1. These games are from the first Pokemon generation I ever played, so of course, it has to be...
Fuck no!
Ladies and gentlemen, Pokemon, the 3rd generation. Yes, like I said in the rules, only one entry per franchise. I never said one game per franchise, so hooray for bending the rules in my favour, and this game's favour. But all bending aside, these games were the games that defined my childhood. I said back in the Yu-Gi-Oh entry that that was my golden game until this game came along. These games came along. And, like, yeah, there wouldn't be a day when these games weren't firmly slotted into my Game Boy Advance SP. The reason this generation is the generation that defined my childhood, and not Gen 1 or 2, is, well, because A, I didn't play either one of those generations until I was older, and B, the first Pokemon generation and game I got was Ruby on my 6th birthday, so I have a special connection with this generation and this set of games. And boy, was I so excited to play it. But how about I tell you a little story of my history with Pokemon back when I moved to Australia from England, where I grew up. Some of my friends and my mom gave me a videotape of the original Pokemon cartoon show, and I still have it for today somewhere. But when I first got it, I don't know why, but I was terrified of it for some reason. I don't know what was with me as a little kid. I was just scared of a lot of stuff, I guess, like the ending of Harry Potter with the guy with 2 heads that I only saw the scene for, like, last year. I have no clue, really. But I guess the fact that the full name was Pocket Monsters didn't really sound appealing to a 5-year-old kid who was terrified of most everything that wasn't Disney related. Although Kingdom Hearts scared him 5 years later. Actually, I faced my fears, but put the VCR in and experienced the greatest thing that would ever happen to me. Pokemon. And then from then on, I would pester my parents to get a Pokemon game. And when I first got my Ruby game, I was over the freaking moon. And yeah, that is my little backstory to how I became in love with Pokemon. Now, let's get into the reasons why these games are great. So, because I got Pokemon Ruby first, I think it would be only fair to start with Pokemon Ruby Sapphire and their sister game Emerald, which is by far my second favourite Pokemon game in existence. Because these games were the first Pokemon games I ever played, I tend to look back on them with rose-tinted glasses. In fact, I think these glasses are so rose-tinted, they would make a fine accessory for Axel. But anyway, when I went back to record footage for this game and for this video, I found that they seem as I remember them, with Emerald still being my favourite of the 3. In fact, I enjoyed playing through them so much to get footage, I'm replaying Emerald right now. But sadly, I no longer have my copy of Ruby because when I was younger, my local EB game store had a special where if you traded in your copy of Pokemon Ruby or Sapphire, you could get Pokemon Emerald for something like $20, $40. I can't remember like the crucial details. Well, I say crucial details, like the minor details. And so my brain thought my kid brain thought when it saw that, oh yes, I want some of that action, because the trailer for Emerald that I saw was awesome. And thus I got my copy of Pokemon Emerald in exchange for my copy of Ruby, which at the time I didn't know what Pokemon's levels meant. I mean, I knew that it made them stronger and they evolved, but I didn't know the fact that having a level 98 Blaziken was a big deal. Sometimes I get amazed at how dumb I could be when I was little, but hey, what you gonna do? Anyway, these games had tremendous storytelling, at least in my opinion. Probably some people disagree with that. In fact, I know someone that says the 3 worst games are Final Fantasy, Diablo, and Pokemon. Yeah, do with that what you will. Anyway, the story would change depending on which version you picked up. If you picked up Pokemon Ruby, you would fight Team Magma, a team who desires to expand the land. And if you played Sapphire, you would fight Team Aqua, a team who desired to expand the sea. And if you played Pokemon Emerald, you could face off against both teams. Also, I think I need to talk about the region included in Ruby, Sapphire, and Emerald, being Hoenn. And Hoenn is by far my favourite region in the entire Pokemon series, with some of my favourite areas being the Sky Pillar, Sootopolis City, Slateport City, and the undeniable greatness that is the Battle Frontier from Pokemon Emerald. I mean, let's just play the music while I talk about this next part. This freaking place, is by far my favourite place in the entire Pokemon series, beating out the Distortion World, the top of Mount Silver, End's Castle, the Plasma Hideout from Pokemon Platinum. All of them cannot touch the battle frontier in my mind. Also, I think I may be the only one, or the only person that has this opinion, but I actually like the desert area in Gen 3. I mean, come on, it isn't that bad of a place, and the music is pretty cool. I mean, let's just have a listen, shall we? Yeah, not too horrible, is it? So, now that we've looked at the first half of Gen 3, let's look at the other two games of Pokemon Gen 3, being Fire Red and Leaf Green. Now, like I said, I didn't play Red and Blue when I was younger, and to this day, I still haven't played Red or Blue. No, just calm down for a second. I do own a Gen 1 Pokemon game, and that game is Yellow, which I personally think is the better one out of the three, but anyway, we'll leave that for another video. Fire Red and Leaf Green gave me the opportunity to experience the tremendous joy and wonder that kids had experienced when they played the first generation of Pokemon, and I can say that I'm glad that I experienced these games, and I really am glad these games were made for this exact reason. So, I don't think I need to tell you the story of Fire Red and Leaf Green due to the fact that it's the same as Pokemon Red, Blue and Yellow. There's Team Rocket, you gotta be the very best that no one ever was, you gotta be the 8 gyms, you gotta be the champion, and yeah, that's the story. Congratulations, story time with Charizard. Anyway, there are a few differences with Fire Red and Leaf Green though, such as the islands 1 through 7. And also, I am very glad that these islands were explored through the after game, instead of just being there to throw some Johto Pokemon into the game, and also being the home of Moltres. Pokemon Fire Red and Leaf Green also introduced me to some of my favourite Pokemon, like Bulbasaur, Squirtle, Arcanine, and the pure greatness that is Kabutops. And I would try and make sure that these Pokemon were always on my team. I mean, I don't think there's been a Pokemon game since where I haven't used an Arcanine. Also, the music in this game is incredible, with some of the best being Celadon City, the Champion theme, and the Sevi Islands theme. All of these songs make you feel like you're on a grand adventure, and for me and my friends, that is the thing that made these games so important and mesmerizing to us. The amount of time we would spend playing this generation of Pokemon far surpasses any other game on this list, and it was these games that brought me to know some of my best friends to this day, and I still have my original team from Penrith sitting in my Pokemon White 2 game, waiting for Pokemon Bank to come out. Nintendo, they're waiting for you. Anyway, this generation of Pokemon will always hold a special place in my heart, and the hearts of all my friends, because if we were to summarize our childhoods with a game, we wouldn't be able to choose one of these fantastic games, so we would have to be all of Pokemon Gen 3. I could talk about Pokemon Gen 3 for ages on end. I may indeed make a video about it one day, I'm not sure. But if I did, that video would start to get long and maybe a bit boring. Because who really wants to hear 5 hours of someone gushing over a game? Yeah, my thoughts exactly. So, anyway, to close out, this has been Charizard, and Pokemon Gen 3 was what defined and dominated my childhood. Thanks for watching, and I hope to see you all next time. Peace.